The weather forecast said we were going to get 3 to 6 inches of snow last night. Turned out we got about an inch of sleet and freezing rain. Before we head outside, I do want to show you what to do if your auger has one side that doesn't move, but the other side does. Oh, it doesn't move at all. That's not good. Well, this one escalated quickly, so we do need to change the shear pin. You see the shear pin is missing on this side of the auger, whereas it's in on this side. And I thought what we were going to be doing was a simple replacement of the shear pin. As I'm trying to rotate this, the auger is really wedged in there. I think the first thing we're going to do is just kind of lift this guy up and have a look-see before I do anything that's going to mess with the auger, which may cause it to rotate, which may cause the motor to rotate, which may cause it to turn over a time or two and cut my hands off or something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the spark plug so that can't happen. I've put a couple chocks behind the machine, so now I can just go ahead and rock the unit back. In the interest of not having a snowblower fall on me, I'm going to put a jack stand right beneath the front. The auger basically bent, and it bent until it hit the auger housing here. And I'll be honest, I have a gravel driveway. Part of my driveway is gravel, part of it is paved. So usually when I snow blow over the gravel part, I just put a little bit of weight on the handles and try to hold the machine up a little bit off the gravel. And I have to assume that I wasn't doing my job well enough, and a piece of gravel got in here somehow and ended up bending this piece of auger out. When that happened, luckily, the shear pin broke, which is a $3 part, as opposed to all the gears here, which would cost a lot more than the cost of a shear pin. First, I'm going to see if I can just bend this back away from the housing, and then once I bend this back, hopefully the shaft here isn't bent and there's no more damage than just a broken shear pin, and I can replace the shear pin over here. So what I'm going to do is just try using a pair of vice grips. And I need more force. Maybe we'll start with a pry bar and see if that does anything. I really can't figure out why this thing is bent. I just want you to see that right here, the paint kind of cracked off. I don't think the metal is damaged. I just want to bend this piece back this way a little bit, just give that a little bit of a tweak. I'm going to go ahead and knock out the old shear pin because I think it's sticking up a little bit. There's the old shear pin for you. What I'm going to try is this little propane torch here, and I'm going to see if I just put some heat right here and just go back and forth for a while. I don't know, maybe a minute, minute and a half. Maybe that'll soften the metal enough where I can then get my vice grips under it and bend it back. The reason I moved outside is because I want to keep all the fumes that are going to come off when I burn some of that paint. I want to keep the fumes outside. So I'm going to put a respirator on, and I've also got a fan basically blowing where my breathing zone is going to be, always bringing some fresh air in there as well. All right, guys, everything's taken care of, and you see how smoothly the auger rotates now. What I ended up doing was just running the heat back and forth along the bend here, and actually I ran it a little bit inside the bend because the bend is where the weld is. So I heated just outside that back and forth, and I think I had the heat on for about a minute and a half. Initially, I tried to put my vice grips right over here, and you can see where this tip kind of came out, and it was just kind of folding the whole thing over. So then what I ended up doing was moving everything down, and I think you saw where I got the pry bar in here somehow and just kind of bent everything over. As I was watching that footage, I did notice there was quite a bit of bending in the auger housing. So I did notice I had better luck when I went down here where the metal's a little bit thicker to bend and push on, as opposed to out here. And in a perfect world, I suppose I would have just removed this whole assembly, worked on this separately, then put it back in. 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Before we put the shear pin back in, I just want to go ahead and put some grease in here and make sure that this shaft is very well lubricated so the auger never actually seizes to the shaft underneath. Years ago, I had a commercial snowblower and I never did this, and eventually the auger rusted to the shaft, so the shear pins were basically useless. If you take a look over here, there was a little bit of clanging. See right there? See that? What that is this is the auger that I didn't bend, and because we just put the grease in, it pushed everything this way. But once we put the shear pin in, we should have plenty clearance there that won't be an issue. All right, so I've got a new shear pin here, and I like to keep about 5 or 6 of them around the house, just so I don't lose any sleep, worrying I don't have them when the big storm comes. But the secret for installing a shear pin is this tool right here, and this is called a drift punch or an alignment punch, and it's basically just a tapered shaft. And what you do is you kind of slide it in the hole there, and eventually you'll kind of feel it line everything up. So you push that in all the way, and that'll get things where you need them to be. And then you just go ahead and pull that out, slide your shear pin in. You may need to give it a few taps. And then you can put the nut on. And I'm going to get some of this grease out of here before we go any farther. If I clean this grease up now, it'll be less to clean off my tools. All right, and then we're just going to put our ratchet in to hold and our socket where we can get the best purchase, and just go ahead and snug this guy down. You'd have to check your manual to see if there's any kind of torque spec for this. And I also do not reuse shear pins. Once I take them off, I just get rid of them. And I'm just waiting to kind of feel a little bit of tension there. All right. I'm going to pull the starter while holding down the auger control. Let me know if you see the auger scratch the side of the housing. All right, folks, well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this one. You know, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about this snowblower. I've had it for 4 or 5 years now, and it works perfectly fine, but it's just not built the way they used to be built. I don't know how to say that. And I will admit my first snowblower was a commercial duty snowblower, so maybe that's the difference. But I've never used to have these trouble. I've already made a video about welding the auger because it came apart, and now the auger bent. In Ariens' defense, I have to say, I've been using the snowblower on a gravel drive without raising my shoes like a 1/2 inch high, like the manual says. So I can't say it's not operator error. The machine just, I don't know, it's just not built as strongly as they used to be made. I'm asking more of the machine than I think most people are who just have a plain asphalt driveway. If you can do me a favor, go down and hit the like button, type a comment, tell me what kind of snowblower you have, tell me what issues your snowblowers had. Let me know the age of your snowblower too, you know. Let me know if maybe you have a newer one that's faring a little bit better than mine. And please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm going to go ahead and put some fuel in this snowblower, and then I'll see if I can take you guys out with some shots of me using it in this inch of sleety, it's not really slushy, it's just sleet, wet sleet. We'll see how she does. But thanks for watching, folks, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.